There are seasons in life when you feel like you are walking through a storm that never ends. The days blend into nights, and the nights feel longer than they should. You try to find a moment of peace, but the noise inside your mind keeps you awake. You've whispered prayers into the darkness, wondering if anyone hears them. You've asked God for a sign, a breakthrough, a glimpse of hope, but the silence has stretched on for so long that it's starting to feel like a permanent companion. And in that silence, doubts begin to creep in. Thoughts like, maybe God doesn't care, or maybe he's forgotten about me, start to settle into your heart. But let me tell you something, silence is not the same as absence. God is not ignoring you. He is not turning his back on you. In fact, he's closer to you right now than he has ever been. The same God who spoke the universe into existence is the same God who hears the unspoken cries of your heart. He sees every tear that falls, every sleepless night you've endured, every time you've forced yourself to keep going when you wanted to give up. Sometimes God allows the storm to continue, not because he enjoys watching you struggle, but because he knows what the storm is producing in you. There's a strength being built inside you that could not be formed in comfort. There's a deeper trust in him that could not grow without the uncertainty. Faith is not developed when everything is easy. Faith is forged in the fire. When the Israelites stood trapped between the Red Sea and Pharaoh's army, they must have felt completely abandoned. They had just been set free from slavery, and now it looked like their journey was over before it even began. But God had a plan they couldn't see. He parted the sea, made a way through the impossible, and led them to safety. That same God is your God today. If he could split the sea for them, he can make a way for you. You may not see how it will happen. You may not have the answers, but you don't need to have the answers. You just need to hold on to the one who does. It's in the moments when you feel weakest that God's strength shines brightest. Paul wrote in 2 Corinthians 12:9, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." That means your weakness is not a liability. It's an opportunity for God to show up in a way that leaves no doubt it was him. When you've done all you can do and you feel like you can't take another step, that's when God steps in to carry you. Sometimes he carries you by giving you a peace you can't explain. Sometimes he carries you by sending someone into your life at just the right time with the exact encouragement you needed to hear. And sometimes he carries you quietly without you even realizing it until one day you look back and realize you made it through something you thought would destroy you. Right now, you might be walking through grief, loss, or heartbreak. You might be facing financial trouble, health issues, or relationships that are falling apart. And maybe you feel like you've been praying for so long without seeing results that you're tempted to stop praying altogether. But I want to encourage you, don't stop. Don't stop praying. Don't stop believing. Don't stop hoping. The enemy wants you to give up right before your breakthrough comes. He knows that if you hold on just a little longer, you're going to see God move in a way that will change everything. He knows that the blessing is closer than you think, so he tries to fill your mind with discouragement, fear, and lies to make you quit early. But you are not going to quit. You're going to stand. Even if all you can do is stand, you're going to keep moving forward, even if all you can take is one small step at a time. Remember this, your feelings are not the final authority. Just because you feel alone doesn't mean you are alone. Just because you feel hopeless doesn't mean there is no hope. God's truth is greater than your emotions, and his presence is not dependent on whether you can sense it in the moment. There have been countless times when people in the Bible felt abandoned, but later realized God was with them all along. Joseph was sold into slavery by his own brothers, falsely accused and thrown into prison for years. From the outside, it looked like God had completely forgotten him, but God was positioning him for a greater purpose to save an entire nation during a famine. What looked like a disaster was actually preparation for destiny. The same might be true for you. You might be in a season right now where nothing makes sense, but one day you'll look back and see that God was arranging the details all along. You'll see that the delay wasn't denial, it was divine timing. You'll see that the closed doors were actually protection. You'll see that the pain you endured produced a strength you didn't know you had. And when that day comes, you'll realize that God was never far away. He was closer than your next heartbeat, guiding you through every twist and turn. So today, I'm here to tell you, don't give up. Don't let go of the promise God has placed in your heart. Don't stop believing just because you can't see the outcome yet. God is not finished with your story. If He started a good work in you, He will be faithful to complete it. Your breakthrough may not come when you expect it, but it will come. And when it does, you'll understand why you had to go through what you went through. You'll see that every tear, every prayer, every sleepless night was worth it. Sometimes the hardest battles are the ones no one else can see. You can look perfectly fine on the outside, smiling, laughing, posting pictures, but inside you're fighting a war that feels like it's draining the very life out of you. There are days when you wonder if anyone would even notice if you stopped trying. The weight of unspoken pain can be heavier than any physical burden. And it's in those moments that the enemy whispers, "You're alone in this." But let me tell you the truth, God has never left your side. Even when you feel invisible to the world, you are fully seen by Him. Psalm 34:18 says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." That means your pain is not being ignored, your tears are not falling unnoticed. Heaven is aware of every single thing you're going through, and God is holding your heart in His hands. Sometimes we think God's presence should mean the absence of problems. But the reality is that His presence means strength in the middle of problems. Think about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the fiery furnace. God didn't keep them out of the fire, but He was in the fire with them. And because He was with them, the fire didn't destroy them. That's what He's doing for you right now. You may still be in the heat of the trial, but it will not consume you. You're not going to be destroyed by what you're facing because God is in it with you. It's easy to want to quit when you can't see progress. We live in a world that demands instant results, instant answers, instant solutions. But God's timing is not like ours. He works in seasons, not seconds. Some seeds take years to grow before you ever see a single sprout above the ground, but that doesn't mean nothing is happening. Beneath the surface, roots are forming, foundations are being laid, strength is being built. Your faith is like that seed. Even if you can't see it yet, God is growing something in you that will one day bear fruit. And here's the thing, your current chapter is not the end of your story. You might be in a chapter of loss, heartbreak, or confusion, but the author of your life is still writing. You may not know what the next page holds, but you know who holds the pen. That alone is reason to keep going. He's not done yet. Every delay, every disappointment, every detour is being woven into the bigger picture of your destiny. One day, you'll look back and see how all of it fit together perfectly. There's something powerful about a person who refuses to give up. When life throws its worst at you and you still choose to stand in faith, it's a testimony that speaks louder than any sermon. Maybe right now you don't feel strong enough to be that person. Maybe you feel like you've reached the end of your rope. But that's exactly where God does His best work, in the places where our strength runs out. 2 Corinthians 12:10 says, "When I am weak, then I am strong." That's not because we magically become stronger, but because God's power fills the gap our weakness leaves behind. Your story is not over just because you're struggling. Some of the greatest victories come right after the fiercest battles. The enemy attacks hardest when you're closest to your breakthrough. That's why quitting is so dangerous. You might be just one step away from the miracle you've been praying for. If you stop now, you'll never know how close you were. But if you keep going, you'll see what God has been preparing all along. I want you to imagine this. The same God who spoke to the storm and said, "Peace, be still," is speaking over your life right now. The same God who opened prison doors for Paul and Silas is opening doors you can't even see yet. The same God who raised Lazarus from the dead is breathing life back into the parts of your heart that feel dead and hopeless. If he could do it then, he can do it now. So here's my challenge to you. Don't give up. Not today, not tomorrow, not when it's hard, not when it hurts. Keep praying, keep believing, keep showing up. One day, you'll see why it was worth it. One day, you'll thank yourself for not quitting. And on that day, you'll realize that God was closer to you in the struggle than you ever imagined, guiding you, carrying you, and loving you every step of the way. There are seasons when it feels like everything you touch falls apart. You try to fix one problem and three more appear. You pray for peace and instead you feel like life is throwing you deeper into the storm. And in those moments, it's tempting to believe that maybe God has forgotten about you. But listen, God doesn't forget his children. Isaiah 49:16 says, I have engraved you on the palms of my hands. Your walls are ever before me. That means your name, your life, your struggles are always in his sight. Even when it feels like nothing is moving forward, he is still working behind the scenes in ways you cannot see. Sometimes God answers prayers in ways that don't look like answers at first. He may close a door to protect you from something you didn't know would hurt you. He may delay a blessing because the timing isn't right yet. He may even allow a struggle to remain for a season so that you lean fully on him instead of your own strength. Remember Paul's thorn in the flesh in 2 Corinthians 12? Paul begged God to remove it, but God's answer was, my grace is sufficient for you. That's the same truth for you today. His grace is enough for you, even in the middle of the struggle. You don't have to have everything figured out. You just have to hold on to him. And here's the hope. What you're going through now will not last forever. Seasons change, pain fades, storms pass. You may have scars, but those scars will become stories of how God carried you through. One day, what you're enduring will be the testimony that encourages someone else not to give up. So don't lose heart. You are closer to your breakthrough than you think. There's a verse in Galatians 6:9 that says, let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. That's a promise from God. There is a harvest ahead of you. But notice the condition. If we do not give up. The enemy knows this, which is why he works so hard to discourage you. He wants you to stop right before the miracle comes. But you're not going to stop. You're going to press forward, even if all you can manage is one step at a time. Think about how far you've already come. You've survived nights you thought would never end. You've endured pain you thought would break you. You've faced obstacles that would have crushed someone else, but you're still here. That's not by accident. That's proof of God's sustaining power in your life. If he's carried you this far, why would he stop now? Your future is worth fighting for. Your calling is worth holding on to. Your faith is worth protecting. The road might be hard, but every step you take is bringing you closer to what God has promised. And when you finally step into it, you'll see that the struggle was preparing you all along. Until then, keep walking, keep trusting, keep believing, because the God who began this journey with you is the same God who will see you through to the end, and he is closer than you think. Sometimes in the quiet moments, when life feels overwhelming and the weight on your shoulders seems too heavy to carry, you wonder if God truly sees you, if he notices the silent tears, the unspoken prayers, the nights you lie awake staring at the ceiling, wondering how everything went so wrong. But he does see you. Not only does he see you, he understands the exact weight of your burden because he has carried it before you were even born. You see, God is not distant or indifferent. He is intimately involved in every detail of your life. Every sigh you've released in exhaustion, every prayer you whispered when no one else was around, every moment you thought you couldn't take another step, he was there holding you up even when you didn't feel it. Sometimes the greatest act of faith is not running ahead, not trying to fix everything yourself, but simply letting go and allowing him to carry you. And that's where many people struggle. because surrender feels like weakness. But in God's kingdom, surrender is strength. It is the acknowledgement that you were never meant to carry the full weight of life's battles alone. Jesus said, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Not I might, not I'll think about it, but I will." That promise stands unshaken through the storms, through the heartbreak, through the confusion. And when you truly believe that, when you stop trying to fight every battle in your own strength, you begin to see the beauty of resting in his presence. This doesn't mean the storms will stop immediately, but it does mean you will no longer be tossed around by every wave because the one who calms the seas is in your boat. You may feel like you're in the middle of the ocean with no land in sight, but remember, God doesn't need visible land to bring you to safety. He can part the waters or calm the waves in an instant. The enemy wants you to believe you are alone, forgotten, and powerless. But the truth is, you are fully known, deeply loved, and powerfully protected. The same God who walked with Daniel into the lion's den, who parted the Red Sea for Moses, who gave David the strength to defeat Goliath, is the same God who stands beside you right now. Your battles are not too small for him to care about, and your pain is not too insignificant for him to heal. Sometimes we convince ourselves that God is too busy with bigger problems to be concerned with our struggles, but that's not who he is. He is a father who counts the very hairs on your head, who bottles every tear you cry, who knows your thoughts before you even speak them. That is the level of care he has for you. And when life pushes you to your knees, that's the perfect position to find his strength. Maybe right now you feel like you're at the end of yourself, that you've prayed and nothing has changed. But friend, faith is often tested in the waiting. God's delays are not denials. Just because you can't see the answer doesn't mean he's not working. In fact, some of the greatest breakthroughs are being prepared in the silence, in the unseen, behind the closed doors of heaven. If you could see the full picture, you would understand why the waiting was necessary. God is aligning things, moving hearts, orchestrating circumstances you can't even imagine. And when the moment is right, when everything is in place, he will open the door so wide that no one will be able to shut it. Until then, your job is not to figure out the how, but to trust the who. You are held by the hands that formed the universe, the hands that stretched out on a cross for your salvation, the hands that will never let you go. Even when you feel like you can't take another step, he will carry you. Maybe the problem isn't that you don't have enough faith. Maybe it's that you've been trying to carry something that was never yours to carry in the first place. Lay it down, hand it over. Let him take the weight, because his shoulders are strong enough, his grace is deep enough, and his love is fierce enough to hold you through every storm. And when you do, you'll find that what once felt impossible now feels bearable, not because the load got lighter, but because your God got closer. This is the power of surrender. It is not giving up, it is giving over. And when you give it over to him, you discover that he has been holding you all along, even when you didn't realize it. Today, choose rest over worry, faith over fear, surrender over control, because the God who carried the cross is more than able to carry you through this moment and every moment to come.